What's going on, guys? Tosker here, and in this video we are going to cover a third part of styles and using resources. Specifically in this video we're going to talk about using resource dictionaries, and then we'll also touch on merging those dictionaries. If you haven't watched the first two, I suggest doing that, otherwise you may feel like you jumped in the middle of something when watching this video. Anyways, as you see here, in our XAML, I just have a simple ugly layout of a big label that will be our title, a label that is intended for our text box, and then two buttons, one submit and one cancel. Now of course we want to give these different styles, and we could do this just as easily by going up to our window here, creating some Windows resources, and then putting the styles in there, but then of course we won't be able to reuse it or use it in other controls. Conversely, we could also go over here to our app.xaml like we did in the past, and we could add the styles here and use them across our application. Now, the reason we would use resource dictionaries is because we wouldn't always necessarily want to have a bunch of styles for a bunch of different styles for a bunch of controls in our application resources. Sometimes we want to break them up into dictionaries, make things that are relevant to each other stay with each other, and then reuse those at the application level. So that of course is what we are going to do today. So we're going to go over to our Solution Explorer, and we're going to add a new folder, and we'll call this Resource Dictionaries. We then actually want to add a resource dictionary, so we'll right click, go to add, and we should find resource dictionary down here. We'll add that, and we'll actually name it, let's say, button dictionary. Now, normally you wouldn't really want to break up your dictionaries into separate controls, like a button dictionary, a label, text box dictionary. But for the sake of example, we're going to do that. But anyways, moving on, we have our resource dictionary here, and we can actually treat this just like we've treated our XAML resources or our user control resources. We'll simply just create styles here. And as this is not very unfamiliar to us, we can do a target type of button, and of course we want to give it a key. In this case, we'll call this the submit button. So that's the name of our style here. And there we go. Pretty boring control. But now we're going to want to copy this, and we're going to paste, and we're going to create our cancel button. So we'll do a cancel, and we'll have the red background, of course. So now what we have to do is we'll go over to our Solution Explorer again. We'll go to our app.xaml, and now we actually want to add this dictionary in. So in our application resources, we'll just call a resource dictionary, call the source, and we created the folder, so we want to go to the resource dictionaries / button dictionary, and don't forget the extension .xaml, and I wrote dictionary. Okay, so now we added our resource dictionary to our application resources. We want to go over to our main window. We will go down to our XAML here, and we can simply use it for our buttons. So we'll do style, static resource, and we see we have both styles here. We'll do the submit button, and we'll go to style, static resource, cancel button. So as we'll see here in the designer, we have our beautiful submit and cancel buttons. But of course we want to do more than this, because this is relatively simple. So we're going to go over to our resource dictionaries again. We're going to add another resource dictionary, and we'll call this label dictionary. And just as we did before, going to create a style, a target type of label, give it a key of text box label, and then we're going to give it a setter property We actually want the font size, let's say, to be a little bigger here. So we'll give it a font size, a value of 14. And I guess just for arbitrary reasons, let's also give it a foreground value of, let's say, gray. So now we have a label for a text box. We're then going to create another label, and we'll call this for the big title that we have, so we'll call it the title label. We of course want this to be a little bigger. Probably want the foreground to be black. And since it's a title, we want the font weight, say, demi-bold. Alright, so again, nothing too extraordinary here. But the reason we did this is now we're going to go to our app XAML. And now, of course, intuitively, you would say, alright, so we got another resource dictionary. We'll just copy paste this. And we'll, of course, put in label dictionary. But it seems to be throwing a fit. And we see up here the property resources can only be set once. So we can only really have one resource dictionary at the application level. We can't just stack these on top of each other. So a simple way we do this is we'll actually copy these because we're going to reuse them. But we're going to go to our resource, we're going to call a resource dictionary. And then we're going to access the merged dictionaries. And now we can actually merge these dictionaries into one. So technically we do have one resource dictionary for our application. And we can just repaste those there. So now that we have both of those, we can go back to our main window here. And we can go down and we can find our full name. So we'll give it a style of static resource text box label, and we'll go up to our title and we'll find a style, static resource, and title label. Now if we go back over here to our designer, we see that we have a full name and our well, text box, but the label's a little too big for that text box, so we don't have to create a whole new dictionary. We can still just mix things together, so we can make the text box a little bigger, or I think 24 is a little too big. We can do, let's say, 18. Now I actually don't like the title there, so we're going to go over to our label dictionary real quick, and we're going to add a horizontal content alignment, and we actually want to center that a bit. So now when I go back to the main window, now we have a centered title. Now one last thing before we end, if we go to our main window now, I also wanted to point out that we can, for example, here in our window, we can do window resources, and we can actually add a resource dictionary in here if we'd like. So we can go to our resource dictionaries, and we can add in our button dictionary. So we could actually set up a dictionary for one specific window if we wanted. So you can imagine instead of this being button dictionary, this could be main window dictionary if we wanted the main window to have its own specific set of styles. Now, but let's imagine I did have the main dictionary here, and then let's say I also had it in our app.xaml. Now the problem is you wouldn't, if you're using this in multiple places, you wouldn't want to restrict it to just the window. That you're basically using up more memory than you really need to. You're reusing or reinstantiating things that you don't really have to. So only put it here in the app.xaml if it is something that you expect to be using throughout the application. And then I would suggest only using it here in your user control if this dictionary is only going to be used when this user control is open. If it's not going to, and none of its styles are going to be used anywhere throughout the application. So basically, guys, that's it. I haven't made videos in a very long time, so I hope I'm not too rusty. I'm still trying to get back into the swing of things. I hope I covered everything you wanted. I can't believe I actually forgot this video because it's actually a quick part. But yeah, if you feel like I didn't cover something, or you know, I tripped up on something, let me know in the comments, and I'm trying to work on it. So thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. See ya.